Hey son, I bought you fish oil. Good for you now.
Why is it good for me?
Because you're so stupid. Even fish are smarter than you.
Huh? Huh?
Have you ever wondered why it's good to consume fish oil? Maybe you've asked questions like, why do we eat vitamins? Why should I control my sugar or fat intake? Or does applying collagen to my skin makes it better? All of these answers can be found in the field of biochemistry. Biochemistry is the study of chemical processes within and relating to living organisms, especially in humans in the field of medicine. We learn all about the molecules in our body, what happens to them, where it happens, and how it affects us. Understanding biochemistry is the first step in learning medicine, since it constitutes the fundamentals of physiology, pathology, pharmacology, etc. Learning biochemistry also gives you an insight into how our body works, making you more aware of your health and environment. The majority of biochemistry discusses the properties of water, proteins, lipids, carbohydrates, and nucleic acids. I will give you an introduction through all of them. And now, let's begin with the first topic.
Water.
Hey! So, if you like water, that means you like 65% of me. Sorry, but I don't like dirt water. Oh, come on. Water is a polar molecule with unique properties that define the chemical environment in our body. Being the major solvent in our bodies, it affects almost any intermolecular interactions. Protein function, water. Hormone binding, water. Cell membrane formation, water. Energy production, water. So many more. You should know by now that it's good to stay hydrated. But water doesn't bring marvel to life by itself. So let's enter our second topic. Protein. You like beef?
Yeah.
Well, adding the 65% last time, I guess you're like 85% of me. More like I have a beef with 85% of you. Proteins are the most abundant type of molecule in our bodies besides water. They also display the most abundant types of functions. Proteins are made up of amino acids. Amino acids are called so because they contain amino groups and carboxylic acid functional groups. There are 20 common amino acids, divided into different groups depending on their structure. The nonpolar amino acids include glycine, alanine, proline, valine, leucine, isoleucine, and methionine. Polar amino acids include serine, threonine, cysteine, asparagine, and glutamine. Aromatic amino acids include phenylalanine, tyrosine, and tryptophan. Positively charged amino acids include lysine, arginine, and histidine. Negatively charged amino acids include aspartate and glutamate. Amino acids can also be modified with more functional groups to change their properties. Amino acids can connect each other through peptide bonds, forming peptide chains. The linear sequence of a peptide chain is what we call the primary structure of protein. A peptide chain in its primary structure has no function, but its sequence would influence the secondary structure. Peptide chains would spontaneously fold up due to the hydrogen bonding within it, forming alpha helixes and beta sheets. Alpha helixes and beta sheets divide the peptide chain into hydrophilic and hydrophobic regions. The secondary structure thus folds up to keep the hydrophilic regions in aqueous environment and the hydrophobic regions away from it, creating the tertiary structure and bring the protein function. Multiple tertiary structures also assemble into quaternary structures in some proteins. Proteins have a wide variety of functions. Proteins provide catalyzation with their enzymatic abilities, which plays important roles in metabolism and cellular signal transduction. Proteins bind with other substances to achieve different goals. For example, hemoglobin binds to oxygen for oxygen transport. Immunoglobulin bind to pathogens in order to neutralize them. Proteins also form cytoskeletons, display motor functions, regulate substances in and out of the cell, and also keep our plasma osmolarity balanced. You can say that we need and want proteins very much, but I know what you don't want. Lipids.
I see you don't like fat? Yeah, I don't like you.
Lipids aren't just fat. Just like proteins, they play essential roles for us to thrive. Lipids include fatty acids, acylglycerols, glycerophospholipids, sphingolipids, sterols, waxes, and fat-soluble vitamins. Fatty acids are carboxylic acids with an aliphatic chain, containing 14 to 24 carbons. They can be degraded for energy production, or combined with glycerol to form acylglycerols. Triacylglycerol is the major form of energy storage in our bodies and also provides heat insulation. Glycerol can also bind with molecules other than fatty acids. A diacylglycerol can bind with a phosphate group, which can undergo more modifications, and form glycerophospholipids. They are the major component of the cell membrane, defining the edge of the cell, dividing cellular compartments, while participating in other functions like cell signaling. You've heard of cholesterol. Cholesterol is the most common kind of sterol in humans, and is also the precursor of many important molecules. For example, glucocorticoids modulate glucose metabolism and suppress immunity. Sex hormones regulate sexual development. Bile acids facilitate dietary fat absorption, etc. Lipoproteins are lipid aggregates with apolipoproteins on the surface. They are the major form of lipid transportation in blood and other extracellular fluids. There are 5 types: chylomicrons, VLDLs, IDLs, LDLs, and HDLs. Chylomicrons deliver lipids from the intestine to the liver. VLDLs, IDLs, and LDLs distribute lipids from the liver to other tissues. You might have heard of LDLs before. They contain the highest cholesterol content of all lipoprotein types. They are associated with atherosclerosis due to their potential to damage and build up in the vessels, which could lead to serious cardiovascular diseases if not properly controlled. HDLs, however, scavenge cholesterol from peripheral tissues and carry them to where cholesterol metabolism is most needed.
Hey, what about the fish oil?
Fish oil. Some fish oils are rich in omega-3 fatty acids like eicosapentaenoic acid and docosahexaenoic acid. EPA and DHA are components of the cell membrane but are at higher levels in retina, brain, and sperm cells. An increase in EPA and DHA intake might very well improve their function. Some research also suggests that eating fish oil might be good for your heart and many more.
I told you lah, eat fish oil so you can eat at least as much as fish.
Huh?
哎呀, my son so stupid. Must because he eat too much.
Carbohydrates.
I could be a sugar and bring sweetness to your life. If I were to cut carbs, I'll cut you first.
Carbohydrates consist of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms, usually with a hydrogen to oxygen ratio of 2 to 1. They can also undergo modifications, bind with lipids and proteins, or polymerize to display various functions. Sugars, referring to monosaccharides and disaccharides, are carbohydrates. Common sugars include glucose, fructose, galactose, maltose, sucrose, and lactose. Glucose is the most abundant monosaccharide and is also the most important source of energy in all organisms. Glucose can generate ATP, the main energy currency of cells, through glycolysis, the citric acid cycle, and oxidative phosphorylation. When glucose is depleted in our bodies, gluconeogenesis occurs, transforming proteins and lipids into mediates of glycolysis and the citric acid cycle, and ultimately, glucose. When there is an overabundance of glucose, it can polymerize into glycogen or starch for storage. Generating energy is not the only thing that carbohydrates do. They are also informational molecules. They participate in cell signaling as ligands or second messengers. Sometimes they are antigens that allow cells to recognize if they are self or non-self. Carbohydrates are also structural components. In plants, cellulose make up the cell walls. In many animals, glycoproteins and proteoglycans like hyaluronic acid support the extracellular matrix of cells. Furthermore, carbohydrates constitute the backbone of nucleic acids.
What can I do to impress you? Nothing. I don't like stupid people. Actually, I scored 47 out of 46 on the test today. Oh, really? It was a chromosome test.
Nucleotides and deoxynucleotides polymerize into RNAs and DNAs, which are the nucleic acids. Nucleic acids contain the information of what we are and can express these information through protein synthesis. Some nucleotides have other cellular functions like energy for metabolism, enzyme cofactors, and signal transduction. Nucleotides are made up of a pentose, a phosphate, and a nitrogenous group. Nucleotides with different nitrogenous groups connect each other to form codes that could be translated into amino acid sequences. Common nitrogenous groups include purines and pyrimidids like adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, and uracil. They exhibit specific pairing characteristics through hydrogen bonding. This property allows them to truthfully record and transcript genetic information. DNA usually presents itself as a complementary, antiparallel, double-strand helical structure. During replication and transcription, the two strands separate under the help of proteins, exposing the genetic codes, and then new strands of DNA or mRNA are formed. Special regions of DNAs and RNAs interact with proteins to determine their fate. But what happens next? You'll have to find out yourself after learning all the topics mentioned in the past few minutes.
And that concludes this video. I wish you learned something here. If you liked this video, I wish you a pleasant journey on your road of biochemistry.